Hi, I'm Soancera Luqmann with Reynolds Productions, and I had the privilege to sit down and talk with an energetic young lady who began her teaching career during COVID. We'll learn about real-life curveballs, and she'll share how her plans post-graduate immediately changed what she learned of her father's declining health, which brought her from Connecticut to North Carolina. Sit back as we see God in the details.
I graduated with my Bachelor's of English in 2019 from Quinnipiac University in Connecticut, and I knew right away that I wanted to go to grad school for elementary education. I actually started my grad work classes in my junior year of college. So I'd been taking undergrad and graduate courses up until that time, and then about 3 days after I graduated with my bachelor's, we went right into the grad school full time. And I then graduated in 2020 with my Master's of Arts in Elementary Education. I always knew that I wanted to work with upper grades because I'm certified K-6, and I knew that I wanted to be with the older students because I love English and I love the content that comes with it as you get older. So I knew that I wanted to be focusing on jobs where I would be upper elementary, and I just kind of started applying like crazy, especially once everything with COVID was happening, and Connecticut was on a hiring freeze with a lot of the districts. So it was just basically trying to get my application out there as quick as possible. During April is when I started the switch from applying to jobs in New Haven to down in Charlotte. At that time, I found out that my father was having a lot of kidney and heart-related problems. My parents were actually in the process of already moving to North Carolina, which I didn't have intentions of following. My goal was just to stay in Connecticut. It's the only state I've ever lived in. It's been my home for, at that point, it was 22 years, and I didn't know any other state. So that's why all my job applications were focused on Connecticut. But once things with my father started taking a turn and his health was in decline, I decided to make that move kind of spur of the moment to be like, okay, I'm gonna end my lease, I'm gonna go down to North Carolina, we're just gonna pick Charlotte out of a hat basically with the city and just kind of start over there. I got this job, they offered it to me on the spot, and I was like, yes please, I'll take it. So at that time then I started to look for an apartment, found a place. I stayed with my parents for about 2 weeks before I settled into my new home, and then I started work about a month later here. It was difficult to balance out a lot of the transitions because my stress was very high at that time because I had to move my whole life down here. I had to remember to be mindful of what was going on with my family. At the same time, I'm trying not to put all my stress on them for me moving because they're going through their own problems. I was very excited to start a new chapter of my life after graduation, but it was very somber to have to say goodbye to my friends because I was so close with a lot of my friends from high school still, and I still am, we talk all the time, but having to kind of say goodbye to them and knowing that I don't get to see them on a daily basis, not even a monthly basis at this point. So it was very difficult for me to have to say goodbye to everybody. And I think the hardest though for me was to say goodbye to my grandpa because my grandpa is my favorite person. My parents know I love them, but my grandpa is number one. So yeah, so saying goodbye to him was definitely the most challenging, but I FaceTime with him, I send him pictures of what I'm doing down here all the time. So definitely having that communication, and in the age of the iPhone and technology, has made it so much easier. When I moved here to this new school, I was nervous coming in because not only is it a new job, it's my first year teaching, but it's in a place I've never been before. So I definitely had to bring a lot of my self-confidence in just to come in strong, be like, okay, like I got this, even though inside at times I was like, I don't know what's happening. I was like, I'm a first year teacher. I barely survived grad school because we got cut out because of COVID. Like we went virtual in the middle of my program. It's like, I don't have some things, but I'm gonna at least try to act like I have it together. I relied heavily on my friends back home to be kind of my go-to, my outlet, so that I can communicate with them when I was having a moment where I needed to talk out something that was so stressful, so that I wasn't putting it back onto my parents, because I didn't want them thinking that I was too overwhelmed with the transition because they were so excited to have me down here. So I really relied on my community back home. I love my school. I love the opportunity I get to work with so many students. This year I had about 76 kids in my grade, and I got to work with everyone every day because I'm strictly the English language arts teacher for the grade. So I got to show them my passion and kind of get them excited about that. The biggest challenge really was trying to work with the technology, being hybrid, having virtual students, having in-person students, making sure that everybody was getting my attention, but not trying to give too much attention to virtual or too much attention to in-person, because I didn't want anyone to feel left out. So really that was the biggest challenge. But by the end of the year is when I felt like I got it together. I was able to really be like, okay, like we're gonna take time to have virtual kids answer questions, or we're gonna adjust this game to be whole group, but we'll have it interactive for virtual and hybrid. So really just trying to find that balance was the toughest part. But going into this coming school year, knowing I'm gonna have my kids all with me, I'm hoping that that challenge will clear up quick. Something that I learned about myself from this move is that I'm stronger than I think I am, because I'm someone who I don't like to put my emotions out in front of me. I like to just kind of be like, okay, like everything's great, we're dandy, doing fine. But as I was going through this transition of moving, having to undertake now a responsibility of a real full-time job now, I am definitely stronger than I think I am. I can handle it. I can process things differently than how I would handle it back in Connecticut. And I think a lot of that had to do was because I had my family there to rely on, and I could be like, go home and be like, I'm having the worst day. I feel like I'm never gonna come out of it, all of that. But now being on my own, it's really like it's on me to kind of help myself at times. So I really think that was the biggest thing I learned about myself, is that I am strong and I can do what I put my mind to. Part of my personality is I'm someone who will sit and I love to listen. So a lot of the times it does not come across that like I understand something or I know what I'm doing. It's really like, no, I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in, because that's how I process it and everything. So just really working on showing my outward confidence. Like, I know what I'm doing. I can do this. You can trust me with this responsibility. I love to journal. I think journaling is a great way to let all my emotions out, and then I can read it, and then I can really see, okay, am I actually feeling overwhelmed? Am I actually feeling sad? Am I truly happy? I can see those words and kind of put the pieces together for myself. So that allows me to have a little check-in and really see, how am I truly feeling? If I'm overreacting, am I underreacting to something? It's always important to do self-check-ins, even if you love being around other people, because at the end of the day, you are with yourself, and people will always come and go, but you always have yourself that you need to prioritize and you need to focus on. So take the 10 minutes or 5 minutes to journal, or another way that I like to just kind of reflect, if someone's not into journaling also, is to just put on your favorite song. Think about the favorite song that means so much to you and has impacted you, and just listen to it. Think about how it can apply to you in this moment. How could it apply to you in a future moment? So that's something I also like to do. Like, I listen to my favorite song, This by Darius Rucker, just to kind of refresh and regroup. My future plans for myself, long term, I have always loved law. That was something I had intended to do with my English degree when I had first selected English prior to choosing elementary education my junior year as my graduate program. So I would love one day to get into education law, create programs, help just kind of with the whole process of education, what goes into schooling, the funding, what can we do to promote teacher wellness as well as student wellness, really bringing it all together.
Thank you, Sophia, for your transparency and sharing this unimaginable part of your journey with us. And thank you, listeners, for being a part of Reynolds Productions. You Can't Make This Up series, and we'll see you next time.